This time on episode 362 of Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., we discuss Wandavision Season 1, Episode 4. We interrupt this program and your feedback.
I'm Chris from Play Comics, a show where we look at video games based on comic properties and how well they stick to that source material, a part of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the show you're checking out now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other astonishingly geeky shows at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
You have been granted clearance by Director Alfonso Mack Mackenzie. Stand by for a S.H.I.E.L.D. debriefing. All information to be discussed here is classified and may only be discussed among agents granted clearance by the S.H.I.E.L.D. Director.
Now it's time for your scheduled debriefing. I'm Agent Michelle.
And I'm producer of the show, SP. Welcome to Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., a Marvel Comic Universe fan show. The show is recorded on Sunday, January 31st, 2021, live from the Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. studios, and broadcast Eastview-wide via www.geeks.live. Come join our live chat as we record. Michelle, happy National Hot Chocolate Day.
Ooh, it's the perfect weather for it. It's so cold. It snowed here. Get those mini marshmallows out. Yeah.
Now, I prefer my hot chocolate without mini marshmallows or marshmallows, whatever, but I can have them with marshmallows. It's not like I will banish the hot chocolate for the mini marshmallows. But I did have hot chocolate last night. I might have it tonight. I've got to regulate my input because, well, this time of year, I probably live on hot chocolate. So, if I don't regulate my input, breakfast is hot chocolate, lunch is hot chocolate, dinner is hot chocolate, snack is hot chocolate, coffee time is hot chocolate. It's all 100% hot chocolate. So I got to be careful.
Yeah, I like hot chocolate too, but wow, that's taking it to the extreme.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you call it hot chocolate or hot cocoa?
A hot chocolate, I know it's not technically hot chocolate. It's technically cocoa, but it's chocolate and it's hot. So I call it hot chocolate.
I kind of differentiate the two because I think hot cocoa, even though there is no science behind it whatsoever, I think of hot cocoa as like milk-based, and I generally don't have milk-based stuff because I'm lactose intolerant, so I have hot chocolate. So it's like the Swiss Miss package without milk. Or I could go lactose-free milk or like almond milk or something like that, but it just doesn't taste the same. It's got to be, I grew up on a milk farm. It's got to have that, the real milk, the froth, all the stuff that's bad for you.
Yep.
All right. Well, happy National Hot Chocolate Day. I hope that you get to partake later on today. I know I will. And with that, let's get on to the rest of the show. Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a fan-based podcast on the Marvel Cinematic and comic book universes.
Because softball season is over.
If you'd like to talk to us about your missing or your belayed softball season because, the pandemic, you can get us on our website at legendsofshield.com.
We have a voicemail, 844-THE-BUS-1. That's 844-843-2871.
If you happen to play softball with a bunch of law enforcement individuals, I'd love to hear about how that goes. You can leave us a message on our Facebook page, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Podcast. And Michelle will tell me what you said because I don't have a Facebook page.
You can find us on Twitter, including SP, at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D.
You can leave a message on our YouTube channel on this video at youtube.com/GonnaGeek about your work softball experience.
You can tell your Amazon device to enable Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. skill.
You can join our Discord server and talk about your softball team at GonnaGeek.com/Discord.
And remember, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a proud member of the GonnaGeek.com network.
This back and forth with the because of works a lot better when I don't have to say anything.
You are improving. Week
trying.
after week, each time you are improving.
Well, that's good. And hopefully next week we'll have Lauren back with us. She's in the middle of a move about to start, so I don't know about her availability going forward. She needed to take today off because of health issues, but she's fine. She just needed to take today off. And then I think her move starts like next week or the week after. So we might not see her for a couple of weeks, but she does desperately want to come back and talk about WandaVision. Like, Michelle, I know you want to talk about WandaVision.
You bet.
And I do. So here we go. Let's talk about WandaVision. WandaVision Season 1, Episode 4, gosh, I hope there's a Season 2, was published to Disney Plus, streamed on Disney Plus on January 29th. That's Friday, 2 days ago, 2021. The episode was titled We Interrupt This Program. It was directed by Matt Shakman, who's directed the entire series to date, and actually we already know he's directed the entire series. He has 51 directing credits starting in 2002, including 1 episode of Judging Amy, 1 episode of 6 Feet Under, 2 episodes of Everybody Hates Chris, 3 episodes of Ugly Betty, 5 episodes of House, 5 episodes of Sight, 4 episodes of Revenge, 6 episodes of The Good Wife, 2 episodes of Game of Thrones, and 9 episodes of WandaVision. And Michelle, we actually get to talk about somebody new that hasn't directed it, that wrote the episode.
Yeah, this episode was written by Bobak Esfarjani. Has 3 writing credits starting in 2015, including 1 Helix, 1 WandaVision, and 7 Manifest. I want to check something real quick because IMDb with this show has been kind of
Miss more than hit. Like the titles of the episodes, which weren't known until episode 4.
Yeah. Okay, this is interesting. They also have Megan McDonnell listed as a writer, even though on her IMDb page, which I just checked, they still have her only writing 1 episode. So, Megan McDonnell, also the writer? Question mark?
Yeah, I think that's gonna change in a couple of days, Monday or Tuesday, when people get back to their telework and straighten out IMDb one way or the other. Honestly, I have not correlated the episode credits, which show on the screen, so we can probably do that and get back to our audience. And next time, we interrupt this program. I love the title of this episode. I wasn't quite sure 100% what the title was going to mean as we were talking about it last week, going into this week, watching the episode. And in the middle of the episode, I'm like, what's the title of this episode again? Oh, yeah, we interrupt this program. Perfect title for this episode. What did you think, Michelle?
Indeed. I think for an episode 4, remember there's 9 episodes. So we're basically at the halfway point. Episodes 4 and 5, that's the halfway point. I think it's a good time to show, yes, indeed, those of us who are like, this is Wanda and Wanda's in control, we got that validation. And just seeing the context of it, we also put it in a timeline. I think this was a good moment to have an episode like this.
I wanted to talk to you about the timeline of the episode because I was noticing things happening on screen and I wasn't sure of how many episodes were being aired at the same time. Like, were they only airing an episode of WandaVision on one day and then the next night they would, or were several being aired boom, boom, boom? Because we got the timeline of what's happening in relation to the show where Agent Wu, Special Agent Wu, I guess that's what they're calling the FBI, right? Special Agent Wu shows up and he asks for S.H.I.E.L.D. Access to a drone. That's what sends Monica there. And there was 24 hours that passes after the drone is sent through till when the base is there. So we know at least 1 full day has happened since Monica is put in the Westworld, I guess, Westview, which doesn't exist anymore, but we'll get to that. So is it 1 episode a day, or is it as they're living it in Westview?
I think it's just how Wanda is perceiving it, because episode 2 is when we saw the beekeeper. So episode 2 of the sitcom, all right, when it was, episode 2, we know she find out at the end she's pregnant. That's when the sword person comes. So in a way, time is going to be odd, because this is a mental creation universe of Wanda. So it's almost at the speed of thought, at the speed of emotion. So I don't think there's going to be a direct correlation of like this minute to this minute. We know when Wanda pushes Monica out, okay, that's where we are in Wanda's vision that's going on, in Wanda's universe. That's where Wanda is when she pushes Geraldine/Monica out. Does that make sense?
It does. You made a little bit more sense to me when you were talking about the beekeeper, Agent Franklin, as we know he is Sword Agent Franklin. At least that's what the comms were back and forth as he was crawling through the sewer on the way into Westview. And if he shows up at the end of episode 2 and Monica is in episode 2 as Geraldine, then that kind of makes sense. I've got a bigger question. I mean, there's so many questions, but since we tripped over Agent Franklin right here, what happened to Agent Franklin? He didn't get tossed back out. Is he just gone?
We're going to have to find out. I don't think he's gone. He could be stuck in the sewer in Wanda's vision because he lost his cord to get out.
Yeah.
So he could have just been, well, you came from down below, you go back down below, and he might have some trouble getting back. Because obviously he wasn't pushed out like Monica, because then they really, really would have noticed.
Right. So he could just be completely disoriented, but she has barred him underneath. Matter of fact, Wanda might have put in bars or, I don't know, well, in her mind, right, welded all the manholes shut or whatever so that somebody couldn't get in from that way. She's protecting. Well, okay, so let's talk about it. Is this Wanda's vision? Is this her universe? I mean, we were discussing it last time. I think we got more clarity this time.
It's completely Wanda. As Monica says in the end, it's Wanda. It's all Wanda. Now, why it's Westview, because now we learn Westview is an actual town in New Jersey, and Monica goes there, and Special Agent Wu greets her, by giving her the card in the same trick from Ant-Man. I really loved the card callback. That was great. And the people, the sheriff, the cops that were there was like, Westview doesn't exist. And they're standing right next to the sign that says Westview. They're like, we're from Eastview. Now, why Wanda is in Westview, what prompted her to do this? Like, those are some still big questions. But however it started, Wanda has taken control. This is Wanda's vision. So in a way, I think people are thinking, WandaVision as in it's the two of them, but you can also interpret this show's title as Wanda's Vision.
I like that. I was thinking about that myself, but it's a very unique way, double take on the words, unique way of looking at it. Is it WandaVision, like the TV show, the sitcom? Is it Wanda's Vision, or is it Wanda and Vision? It's triple play on words. I like it. Now, the start of this episode was really unique in the MCU because I think this is the first time that we've really seen normal people come back from their snapped blip. They're calling it blipped, so we'll just call it blip here. And this is the first time we got to see it coming back. And Michelle, you loved how they came back.
We got a little hint of it in the second Spider-Man movie, but this one was great because all of a sudden you see like this pixelated Ash sort of come together and form Monica, and Monica's just there like, hey, I'm in the hospital. I was here 20 minutes ago. My mom was on the bed. What's going on? And just coming out and seeing people reform from when they were, which on the one hand is great. People are coming back. But also it's terrifying because what if they were in a moving vehicle when they were blipped? Like, what if they were in an airplane? Obviously, those who were in an airplane, if any, we discussed this during when it happened, the horrors of it, of planes crashing, cars crashing, doctors in the middle of surgery would go, like, what would happen then? Do the people who were on the plane, like that crashed, like when they blip back, are they at the site of the plane crash? This is, it seems though, because because Monica came back where she was when she was blipped. And so did all these other people. When you went out into the hallway, all of a sudden these people were just showing up. And it's fascinating and horrifying at the same time.
It would be completely confusing, both to the people that were coming back and to the people that were there. At least the people that were there understand that people disappeared 5 years ago, but they don't know how, they don't know when, they don't know what's going on. I tend to think the Avengers' plight with Thanos was known. So 5 years later, the general public might have known what had happened, but they probably had no idea that the Avengers were fighting Thanos again to try to bring everybody back. So this was a real surprise to everybody. It was interesting the time period that happened, right? Because Tony Stark, when he did his snap to undo everything, it was, I would say it was evening or night. And what happened with Monica seemed like it was daylight, at least daylight coming through the window or something like that. But it could have been time zones, whatever. I think it was instantaneous when it did happen. You bring up great points about exactly what's happening for the people that were on the move, in a plane, on a boat. Do you just drop into the ocean at that point in time? It'll be interesting if they reference this anymore. I hope they do, because there are still questions. I think they're trying to gloss over it. The Marvel and Disney, I think they're trying to gloss over it, but there's so many questions to be asked. I hope we get another return to it. I don't know if there was supposed to be a return to it in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because remember, Falcon and the Winter Soldier was supposed to happen before WandaVision. So I don't know if there's going to be any in there. I don't know if there's going to be any post WandaVision in the movies or not. You mentioned the fact that it was at least referenced in Spider-Man. I mean, we actually saw a little bit of it happening. You appear in somebody else's apartment. It's a minor point, I think, when it comes to WandaVision. But since we talk about the general Marvel comic universe, I think this is something that needs to be explored a little bit more, because you have people that are going to nitpick it forever if they don't try to explain some stuff. And on the converse side, they can explain it forever, and they're never going to get to the answers that everybody wants. So there you go. Now, Blip had an interesting side effect, because there was this organization called S.H.I.E.L.D. that existed, and the only person left in a leadership position or quasi-leadership position was this guy named Tyler Hayward. I kind of tipped my hand a little bit there. I don't think you remember this, but in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., there was a character called Brian Hayward, and he was a super soldier that was inevitably killed, and he had a sister called Laura. I don't know if there's any relationship between Brian, Laura, and Tyler or not, but there could be. I mean, this is Marvel, and this would be kind of admitting that there's a relationship with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. too, but I don't know. We'll see what Tyler's background is. I think there's more to Tyler than meets the eye.
I think it's interesting that we learned that Monica basically grew up in S.H.I.E.L.D. That was her life, and learning that she was used to going out into space, and she's upset that she's grounded. But it's fascinating that her mom set in protocols for what would happen if everybody came back. And that was good thinking.
I think there's a little bit more than just good thinking there. I think that she, in her mind, thought that her daughter would come back at some point in time. And why not put protocols in place for that? I mean, it's just sound planning. Not to say that all organizations or government has sound planning, but especially if you are affected by the events that are going on around you, then yeah, you'd want to make a plan. Like, this does not make sense to me. This person is gone, wasn't meant to be gone. I know we're working to get these people back eventually. I don't know how that's going to happen, but if it does happen, what are the protocols? I don't know if Tyler was telling the 100% truth or not. It seemed like he was telling the truth about the protocols being there, but he might not be using them as they intended. I think he was planning on sending Monica to this backwater assignment, get her out of the office, away from him and away from what he's truly trying to do, because he knows that she's going to start asking questions in whatever he's involved with. Again, I don't believe he's 100% above board. When in the history of the MCU has an organization like S.W.O.R.D. or S.H.I.E.L.D. or whatever had good people with good intentions all the way on the top?
This would be a case of, like you said, there was no one left. Who would he have conspired with?
Well, let's just say that he had 5 years ago, since he was put in place as the leader, he feels stuff out, try to figure stuff out. Already he's taken S.W.O.R.D. out of space. He's made it Earth focus rather than space focus, which you know that there's space threats and allies out there, as was pointed out to him. I think he's involved in some new conspiracies on Earth that they weren't planning on having people come back. So it seemed like it was a thorn in his side.
I am not. Yeah. All of a sudden, people come back, and here's the thing. He could be like, I don't really want to talk about the last 5 years because I have no idea how to handle all of a sudden all these people coming back, and then some of them not wanting to return to work, and just the chaos and so much. I think he might have wanted to get rid of her so he wouldn't have to deal with it emotionally. Yeah, again, this is not like, oh my goodness, you're back, let me give you a hug. This is, you suddenly disappeared. Now you suddenly reappeared. WTF. I don't know how to process this. Is this temporary? Are you coming back and then are you going to be taken away again? How is this going to work? And perhaps he was trying to put her, and also, like, he's not really 100% sure about her state. Did she forget something? Is she all like came back? So I think it's one of those things. And it's another thing, like when something traumatic happens, like even if you're a cop, you're supposed to come back and you have therapy and then you're assigned desk duty for a while. So her being sent on a grounded mission just actually followed a lot of regular law enforcement protocols that I'm familiar with. So this whole big old shady conspiracy thing, that's a leap. Maybe there's something else going on, but yeah, I'm not taking that step.
There's a couple things that happen in this episode that lead me to at least open the door to that sort of stuff. And I don't know one way or the other. I have not been spoiled on anything past episode 4. I have not gone out looking for anything. This is just my opinion. So Tyler, in the middle of everything, says, once they kind of figure out a little bit more what's going on, once Darcy turns on the Wandavision, which we'll get to that. That was pretty cool how she came about that. He all of a sudden says, I need transport right now. where was he going? He should be there trying to figure things out. And the other thing that we saw in the episode that might be correlated, might not, was Vision's body as we would have seen it when he died, with the stone ripped from his head.
As Wanda saw it when he died.
That's fair enough. So the questions are, is Vision in a freezer somewhere? Is his corpse in a freezer somewhere? And Tyler wanted to go check that out? Or what is he doing? So you got two things that might be connected, might not, that also lead to what is Tyler really doing. So I'm going to keep a close eye on Tyler. Don't have any proof either way, but I'm not taking him at face value either. And as you said, we talked about it during Daredevil. There are things that the FBI should have done that they didn't do. And largely it was because they were 100% compromised. This is some safeguards that I think Tyler should be taking if he's in the position and trying to figure things out. But I don't think everything's above board either. So that's just my feeling. And we'll see. We've got 5 more episodes to go. And I don't think Tyler being introduced to never see him again, we're going to see him again.
Well, of course, we're seeing him again. But like you said, there are certain things that you probably don't call in because of the security level. There are probably things that, yes, he probably might have had to drive and find out if Vision's body is somewhere. Perhaps there's someone he had to actually go see. Maybe it's just something like that. I'm not saying that it's him. There is probably something shady going on because this is after Endgame. Did she steal his body? Is she, we don't know what triggered this. And if she was taken and then she's just controlled the situation or whatever. I mean, we just know this is Wanda's world. And seeing Vision like that was her. Again, she was reminded of Ultron, reminded of reality. And she looks away and then she sort of like does her thing. And then Vision is how he's supposed to be according to her. And at the end, she says, like, he's like, we can go anywhere. And she's like, no, we can't. This is our home now. Because if they leave, he goes away.
Home is where your vision is not a horror movie. Just saying. Because that was freaky. Thank gosh that was only a few frames. Because that was... Also, was that back to black and white or was that in color when that flip went?
That was in color.
It was in color?
It was just the way his body, she saw his body.
Yeah, right. I got a question for you, and probably it means absolutely nothing, but the reason why Special Agent Wu, got to remember to say that, Special Agent Wu was on scene is he lost somebody that was in the witness protection program. I'm wondering if that is somebody that we might know, maybe from Ant-Man, or if it was just a throwaway to get him on the scene. So what do you think? Do you think there's a connection there, or do you think that it was just a plot device?
They could have gotten him there a number of ways. A lot of other people missing, something like that. I think there is something. There's probably someone that he knows on the inside. He probably just can't reveal who it is because, again, witness protection. And I know some of you out there are going to be like, well, that is the U.S. Marshals. Again, we're dealing with a world where, 1, they're superheroes, and 2, half of the population disappeared in one moment. There might have been a little bit like, oh, we don't really have enough people to be the U.S. Marshals anymore. How about we just fold this into the FBI? And again, dealing with stuff like that.
Yeah, that, and I'm not sure if Tommy Lee Jones could come back and actually play, a U.S. Marshal, fugitive sort of thing. I love Tommy Lee Jones, but he is getting older, so I'm not sure he could convincingly come back and play U.S. Marshal. Because who else are you going to get to play U.S. Marshal?
Any of the other 5,000 actors that are out there?
All right. I love when Monica does the drone, and being a drone pilot, most of the drones out there are quadcopters. I'm like, why send a drone in that looks like a helicopter? It's just for expediency plot purposes, because a real drone, and they did send quadcopters in later, but a real drone would have been a quadcopter. And the reason why this was a helicopter is so they could more easily morph it into that toy that they saw inside Westview later. I'll let that pass. But she's like, oh, what is this? What is this thing? And of course, if there's one thing I've learned from Stargate SG-1 is that the first thing that you should do if you encounter a mysterious energy field is to touch it and probe it. I mean, it happened with the Stargate. It happened to all these energy fields throughout the up-teen number of seasons that they had. It's the very first thing that you should do, right?
Exactly. You touch the energy field. If something is emitting energy, you completely bring it back to the base before running any test. You also eat food or drink water and bring back a contagion to the base. I lost count. Like, I'm someone who just recently watched it all, so I'm now getting all of these jokes that you've had. I lost count of how many times they had to shut down the base and initiate the self-destruct. I swear, it was at least a good 4 times a season or something. They had to shut down the base and initiate all these protocols because somebody touched something or brought back something that they shouldn't have.
Now, in fairness, if Monica didn't do it, somebody else wandering around, some kid could, like from Sense8 or whatever, could have come up and touched it and got sucked right in. So I think it was just expeditious to have Monica the one to do it, but she should have known better. Yeah. So you see an energy field, you might get a stick and probe it in first. You might get your tie rod from your car, to change a flat tire and not tie rod, but the wrench to poke the thing. You don't touch it with your hand. Don't. It's not good. Although they did see those 2 cops that came out from Eastview disappear into it. So maybe she thought it was safe that way. Anyway, yeah, I wouldn't. I would be scientific about it and I would start probing. I would not just get sucked right in like Monica did. Not saying that what she did was completely stupid, but yeah, I think she might have had a little bit more sense than to do that. Talking about a little bit more sense, we got Darcy back.
I loved it. She was in the back of the truck going, what do you do? And the first person's like, we're not supposed to say. And she's like, okay, Boy Scout. And getting everyone to talk and being a doctor now, that is great. Seeing her advance in her career, being the smart woman that she is, very capable, seeing the different layers in the signal, realizing pulling out this weird device, realizing it's a TV. And I love that she's like, I need a TV. I need an old one that's not flat. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, the whole thing with Darcy was amazing. The cosmic microwave background radiation, that was something that we found out by using radio telescopes not that far long ago. And we have since even sent up space telescopes to try to measure it, try to get a sense of how old the universe is once we figured out what it was and that sort of thing. It's a real thing, and it does encompass everything. And for the fact that she would know what it was, well, that's good. But the fact that she was able to ascertain that there was a television signal embedded into it, that was pretty cool as well. I'm loving her. I'm loving her interaction on the screen. A lot of people are loving her interaction with Spatial Agent Wu back and forth. I hope that there's no romance that goes along there. I think they work well together just as 2 people that are out there together. Besides, I know she has a fixation with hunks. We all know this from Thor, right? And Special Agent Wu, he might be fit, but he's not a hunk. So I don't know what Dr. Lewis has in store for her romantic life anymore, but I'm glad that she is doing well. I'm glad that we saw her on the screen again. And I hope that we get to see more of her even after WandaVision, because only getting to see her in the MCU every so often, Kat Dennings, she really needs to be on the screen more. we have all of this happening. It was all outside. It was all sword base. It was all around Westview. It really gets us caught up on the story of what's happening around everything. Well, now the twins are born and they know it on the outside. They're seeing it on the inside. And that's where we end the episode. But I wanted to point out one thing that happened at the end of the episode. It happened a couple times that Wanda had been changing what had happened. We talked about the beekeeper. We talked about Monica getting thrown out, Geraldine getting thrown out. On the aired episode, it just appears as a jump cut. You don't get to see the back and forth. You don't get to see what has happened because she's messed with time along with everything else. It is simply a jump cut. And Darcy has noticed, but she can't correlate it to anything.
She's finally able to when Geraldine, who finally got that speaking part, gets pushed out. Then she's actually realizing that, wait, she got pushed out, but we didn't see it. That's when she realized that it's being censored or edited.
Yeah, she says censored, but I don't think they know that there's a time component involved as well.
And then we got to really see Wanda's power when she confronts Monica and the force that she pushes her through and the distance as well. And then Wanda's just able to put everything back together because we learned that this is a real city. There's real people. There's 3,000 and so people. Some of them have been identified. Some of them haven't. Like, is everyone else asleep? Is everyone else just like that she wakes up who she needs? I'm just very curious, or if they are just going about their regular day and they just haven't made it onto the show.
Yeah. My mind went a billion different ways after you said that. They could be anywhere. I was thinking they could be in a high school, just in the stands and sleeping or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. I got 5 more episodes, and I think we're going to go through a few more decades too. We're at the 70s, so next time that we're in Westview, it will be the 80s if they follow the progression. I don't know if we're going to get a 1 episode per decade anymore, because you do have outside interaction going on at the same time that you have inside. And we've seen what those interaction is, like when Darcy figures out that we can talk through the radio. And you see that Special Agent Wu asking Wanda if something's happened to her or something like that. That was before that Darcy figured out that she is probably the one that is in control. And I've probably said this before. I'm going to say it again. I never want to be on Wanda's bad side, because holy crap, can she do stuff.
She's one of the most powerful people in the MCU. A lot of people just don't realize it. On the mutant side, she's the daughter of Magneto. I know we're not doing mutants. I know she's the product of Hydra experiments with the Mind Stone. But again, she is this powerful.
She's very powerful. And we're going to see where this takes us, because next time we'll talk about episode 5. Do we have a title for episode 5 yet?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Once again, I'm not sure if Disney's trying to be cute here or if they're having pandemic issues of getting information out or whatever. But yeah, we don't have a title as we're recording this. I'm sure one will come out. Next time we're going to talk about WandaVision season 1, episode 5. And I'm looking forward to that. I have heard, by the way, that there are spoilers out there. I will not be spoiled before I watch the episode, at least not intentionally. I don't know if you go out of your way for extra stuff, but I certainly don't. By the way, there's one more thing we do have to talk about. Your mom. She watched this episode, right?
Yes. She enjoyed it. She liked, again, one of the reasons why I mentioned about the placement in the season. She liked the fact that, okay, my idea, my theory of Wanda being in control of this world has been proven, and now getting some explanation around it. So it was a good I was a good. I think some people might be like, "Oh, there should have been one more episode." I don't think so. I think this was a good, especially with the twins being born, because one of the things that I don't know if anyone noticed was when the twins were being born, Darcy actually says, "Oh, well, the jig is up," because Darcy was thinking, well, there's no way Wanda could actually be pregnant and that she's using real people. And now all of a sudden there's actual babies and there's twins. That's a lot. That puts in a whole other level on it.
This show has many levels, and I'm glad that we get to see it because it's pretty fun to watch. Like I said, next time we're going to watch season 5. Until then, we do have some feedback to get to. Got an email from our listener 084, and do you want me to go ahead and read this?
Sure.
Okay, so here we go. 084 says, "We wanted answers. We got them. The scene at the start with Monica unsnapping into complete chaos was everything I wanted and more. The episode could have been complete garbage after that, and I would still call it a winner. But since it was decidedly not complete garbage, I'll keep talking. So many tidbits about the Rambo family and its sword origins, and I loved every second of it. I also loved how Darcy spent the last 10 years since we've seen her following in Jane's footsteps and becoming a doctor. My little continuity-loving heart has grown 3 sizes this day. I don't want to over-ramble, but something clear that stuck out to me is that Dottie and Agnes weren't identified by the task force in this episode. That definitely points to the Agatha and Mephisto theory for those two. Herb being identified as a real person might unfortunately rule him out as the high evolutionary, unfortunately. Wah wah. He didn't actually write wah wah, he wrote Q sad trombone, but I thought I'd put the sound effect in there. Anyway, there's so much more I want to gush about from this episode, but I cut it off here. So freaking exciting. Until next time, 084. Thank you very much for that email, 084. It was a good email.
Exactly.
I did like his pointing out that Dottie and Agnes were not identified by the task force.
Not yet.
Although I am a little disappointed in 084.
Why?
He didn't mention the commemorative t-shirts.
Well, they haven't come out yet.
I would love to get my hands on a commemorative WandaVision Task Force t-shirt. That would be awesome. I don't buy t-shirts all that often, but I recently bought some SpaceX Starship prototype t-shirts that show like schematics on and stuff like that. So I'm in the mood to buy a t-shirt. So if anybody has a link that they could link me to a reputable source that is selling a WandaVision Task Force t-shirt, I would love to get one. By the way, that's Darcy wanted commemorative t-shirts for those that don't recall it from the episode.
Exactly.
You're not commenting on my sad trombone sound.
Oh, it was good.
Okay. I'm glad that you enjoyed it, and hopefully 084 enjoyed it too. If you happen to be listening to this and you have some feedback on our take of what's going on with the show or just our reactions in general, you can send me an email at stargatepioneer@gonnageek.com. You can catch us on our Discord server at gonnageek.com/Discord, or you could probably tweet us. That's probably a big way to get a hold of us, especially since Lauren is still doing her live tweets on the rewatch on Saturday mornings. You can find us on Twitter at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. So I think at this point in time, we need to find a mysterious field and we need to touch it and get on out of here.
I think we need to go get Darcy a cup of coffee.
Right? Could somebody get that girl a cup of coffee? She's asked all episode and all she got was a cup of ramen. I mean, come on.
I know. She deserves more.
Well, here, let's go get her a cup of coffee. If you made it this far in the show, I just want to say thank you very much for hanging in there with us. We really appreciate it, and we're looking forward to the next 5 episodes of WandaVision.
Thank you to everyone who interacts with us on all the social media, and for hanging with us all this time.
I mean, literally hanging. I mean, they could be like on pull-up bars, just hanging, listening to us.
I guess so, yeah.
And if you are, I hope we haven't talked too long. See everybody next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you want to leave us feedback, go to gonnageek.com and you will find all our contact information and other shows. You can also visit legendsofshield.com where you'll find our complete archive of podcasts. The music heard on this podcast is by Kevin MacLeod, found at incompetech.com, and also artists on pond5.com and audiojungle.net. The opinions heard on this podcast are those of the individual hosts and do not represent Stargate Pioneer Productions, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D, or Gonna Geek. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the property of the Disney Corporation, Marvel Studios, and ABC. No infringement is intended.
Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is copyright 2013 through 2021.